Love, betrayal, and the cost of blind trust. I've debated whether to write this for a while now, but after everything that happened, I must share it. This story is about how my wife, the woman I trusted and loved, ruined my life and business. It is a warning to anyone out there who thinks they can trust someone because of love and loyalty. Not all that glitters is gold. It all started 5 years ago when I met Chloe. She was stunning, tall, blonde, beautiful, with that classic high-maintenance look. I was running a small but successful tech startup then, and my business was slowly growing. Chloe wasn't really into tech, but she loved luxury and the high life. When we first met, I thought it was just because she enjoyed the finer things in life, but I thought it was just her way of living. I was head over heels for her. She made me feel like I was the luckiest guy alive, constantly showering me with compliments and saying how smart I was for building my business from the ground up. After a year of dating, we got married. I should have known better, but I was convinced we were building something tangible at the time. Chloe was charming, and she perfectly played the supportive wife role. She would visit my office, bring me lunch, offer to help with the business in any way she could, and make me feel like we were a team. She would talk about how she couldn't wait to have a family, settle down and enjoy life together. At first it was all perfect. My business flourished. We expanded, hired more employees, and secured more significant contracts. I thought I had everything: my growing business, my beautiful wife, and our future plans together. But little did I know Chloe wasn't interested in building anything with me. She was only interested in what she could take. It started with little things. Chloe would suggest we go on expensive vacations or buy things we didn't need: new cars, lavish jewelry, a huge house. I tried to accommodate her, and I even took out loans to finance some of the things she wanted. She would always say, "Don't worry, babe, you're doing so well. We'll enjoy it now, and the business will only grow bigger. You're going to make it big." She would encourage me to live a little and not focus so much on work. I was so in love with her and her lifestyle that I didn't think twice. I trusted her completely. Then things started to change. I noticed that Chloe began hanging out with certain people, women who lived extravagant lives, always flaunting their wealth. These women were mainly married to wealthy men who didn't care much about the financial side of things. They only cared about appearances. Chloe started spending more time with them, going out to fancy dinners, attending parties, and showing off the latest fashion trends. I started noticing that our social media profiles were filled with photos of her at these events, but nothing of substance. At the same time, she began criticizing my business decisions more and more. I'll never forget the day she told me my company was too small for her ambitions. We had just secured a massive contract, and I was on top of the world. But Chloe looked at me and said, "You really think this tiny business will make us rich? You need to think bigger." At first, I took it as a push for me to grow, which I did. But her words kept echoing in my head. She said my company wasn't glamorous enough for her desired lifestyle. She said I needed to hire a more prominent PR firm to make the company look more prestigious. The constant pressure was overwhelming, but I was determined to make her happy, so I took out more loans to finance what she wanted. By the time we celebrated our second anniversary, things had started to unravel. Chloe was beginning to get increasingly critical of the way I ran my business. Every decision I made, no matter how minor, was scrutinized. She would often suggest that I take more risks and go bigger, but I wasn't ready to take those risks. I built my business carefully, step by step, and the thought of jeopardizing it for her fantasies made me nervous. But she didn't see it that way. She'd belittle my decisions, calling me small-minded and not ambitious enough. Meanwhile, she'd go out with her friends, spending money on designer bags and dinners, and I'd end up footing the bill. She started putting a lot of pressure on me to sell the business. "What's the point of holding on to something small when you could make so much more money with the right buyer?" she'd argue. I resisted for as long as I could, but eventually I gave in. I didn't want her to leave me, and I thought selling the business might be the way to make her happy. The sale went through, and we walked away with a large sum of money. But instead of being grateful, Chloe seemed more interested in spending the money immediately. And that's when the absolute nightmare began. Chloe started pressuring me to invest in other ventures, ones she claimed could give us the lifestyle we deserve. She started suggesting we put money into her friends' businesses, people I didn't even know. At first, it seemed harmless, but then the losses started to pile up. The money from the sale of the company was being drained by bad investments, and when I questioned her about it, she would get defensive. "Don't you trust me? You're always so negative about my ideas." The straw that broke the camel's back came when I found out she had secretly been spending huge sums of money on luxury items, not just for herself, but also for her friends. I had no idea where the money was going. Our finances were in shambles. I started doing some digging and realized that not only had she been draining our savings on frivolous spending, but she had also been encouraging me to invest in high-risk ventures that were bound to fail. Her friends, of course, were getting their cut, while we were sinking further into debt. I confronted her, and she gave me an ultimatum. "Either you trust me and let me handle things, or I'll find someone who will." That was the breaking point. I realized that she had never cared about me or my business. All she wanted was to be a part of the high society lifestyle. I confronted her with everything I had uncovered, and she didn't deny it. Instead, she told me that I was the one to blame for not keeping up with her. I kicked her out of the house and we divorced soon after. The financial damage was done. My business was gone, my savings were drained, and my reputation was tarnished. The investments Chloe had pushed me into were nothing but money pits. Now, I'm left rebuilding my life from the ground up. It's been tough and I still struggle with the emotional scars, but I've learned the hard way that not everyone who loves you really has your best interests at heart. Sometimes, people just go in for what they can get, and I was foolish enough to think that love was enough to keep the wolves at bay. I'll never make the same mistake again.